I found myself waking up on the beaches of the island for what I thought would be just another playthrough, but something was different this time. New powerful creature variants now roam the island, obliterating everything in their path, and I'm gonna spend 100 days here with these new creature variants, and I'm gonna defeat the Alpha Dragon, Broodmother, Megapithecus, and the Alpha Overseer with them. Hopefully I'll actually be able to keep that promise this time, unlike in my last 100 days. Day 1 and oh no, the recording's messed up. So yeah, let me just fix that, and okay, we should be good now. But I wasn't actually good.
Oh, ow.
Yeah, those are Alpha Dilos. This mod, Primal Chaos, introduces a tier system of dinos that I'll put on screen right now. The order of the tiers goes Vanilla, be normal dinos, then Beta, Alpha, Elemental, Advanced Elementals, Mythic/Legendary, Demonic/Angelic, and Primal Chaos/Primal Light dinos. This is all sounding very familiar. Yeah, I can't even lie to you guys, this is basically a Primal Fear ripoff. I might even throw it into the video title. My Primal Fear videos are some of my most popular. Alright, I'm gonna stop dissing the mod now and actually play it.
Alright, I guess let's just start with a note run.
Since I'm gonna be on foot for a little while since I just spawned in, and weaker threats that I wouldn't usually worry about can now spawn in super strong, I need to get some levels. So I made my way over to the first explorer node that I was close to, and that got me up to level 11. But I then spotted the mortal enemy of every bob when he first spawns in.
Oh my god, there's raptors. Oh, and they're already on me. Come on. I need this turtle to No! Can I get away? Come on, turtle. Put up a good fight. I have broken boats, like, can barely run.
And I did manage to escape because the turtle was actually an alpha variant, meaning it was 5 times stronger than normal, and it would have actually survived way longer if not even kill the raptors. But I think I'm going to stay out of the forest looking for explorer nodes for a while and start getting some basic tools. And that led me to punch a tree as you do until I had 10 thatch and 1 wood to craft a stone pickaxe, which I then quickly used to farm even more thatch and wood as well as a piece of flint to craft a stone hatchet. This is progress, baby. Anyways, after that I farmed a few more resources and then crafted a reusable spear. I'm playing with a few other quality of life mods that I'll have linked in the description. Anyway, this reusable spear is actually going to be the key to my success, mostly because it outputs a decent amount of damage and I have an infinite amount of them. But that was not good news for this dodo because I used a spear to kill it for my first hide. Immediately after that, however, I discovered that there was beta cloth armor, which seems to be stronger than normal cloth armor, and all I need to craft a set of it is to get some beta hide, which I get from killing beta dinos. And after that I killed a dilo, but food was starting to become a more pressing issue.
Just make this campfire.
And while I was waiting for some food to cook, I discovered the different kibbles that you need to tame the different tiers of dinos.
Oh, there's the different kibbles right here. Beta kibble. Alright, so kibbles are going to be super important to taming different tiers of dinos.
But moving on, I crafted myself some reusable bolas, so I'm now pretty safe from being attacked by raptors.
Alright, we now might be able to fend off some raptors if they come at us.
But instead of taking down raptors, I took down an alpha parasaur. You're still able to bola creatures even if they are bigger than normal because of their tier, which honestly makes them pretty easy to kill still. Anyway, I got some alpha hide and some alpha blood, which I assume will be used to craft different types of kibbles later on. And after that, I killed a low-level Pteranodon and discovered that it looks like new tributes were added in one of the mods I installed, since I got PT talons. But finally, ending off the day, I killed a beta PT after realizing I wasn't going to be able to craft any beta kibble for a while to tame it. And I then used its hide to craft my first beta cloth shirt. Day 2, I looked out over the river and saw what looked to be a treasure chest. But the problem was, I was freezing to death very quickly, so I won't be able to check it out for a little while. And that led me to try and actually prevent myself from freezing to death. Big shocker, I know. But I actually did craft some hide pants and boots as well as a torch, and I huddled down next to my campfire to keep me warm. But it almost wasn't enough.
We had a good run.
But to my surprise, these last minute items were enough to barely keep me from freezing to death. But I needed the heat from both the campfire and the torch, so I couldn't even access my inventory to upgrade my stats without freezing to death. But morning eventually came and it was warm enough to put my torch away and leave the campfire side. And I then killed a nearby parasaur for its hide and I began harvesting it.
That's some good. Oh! I thought it was gonna attack me.
Yeah, man, I know these alpha parasaurs are harmless, but those glowing red eyes do not give off a friendly vibe. Anyway, I crafted more hide armor to keep warm, and I also looted a white drop, but it was absolutely terrible. But more importantly, the treasure chest that I saw at the beginning of the day was now gone.
Is it gone? No.
So I decided to keep on progressing.
Alright, I guess let's just keep killing stuff for now.
But there's actually another chest, literally right there. And I looted it, but I didn't know what I got because I couldn't see it in my inventory. Anyway, I then killed a few dinos, including some Meganors for chitin, so I can almost craft a PT saddle soon. And I also had meat spoiling in my inventory to start narcotic production soon. I've decided I actually want to tame a Pteranodon as soon as possible to get off the ground. But I'm gonna need a few trank arrows to actually tame one, so I started farming narcoberries by hand, but I wasn't having much luck, so I decided to knock out and tame a level 5 parasaur that was nearby. And I actually had all the resources required to make it saddle, so I did that and I named it Monk for whatever reason. But I then farmed a few narcoberries before realizing I actually need a little base of operations to start crafting the narcotics. And that led me to craft the thatch foundation and a mortar and pestle. And the raw meat had pretty much all spoiled by now. And I spent the rest of the day pretty much just farming narco berries and crafting narcotics. However, I did also craft a bow and some trank arrows when I did actually get some narcotics under my belt. I finished up narcotic crafting in the morning of day 3. I had 14 trank arrows and everything else I needed to tame a PT besides the saddle, but I'll figure that out later on. So I hopped on the back of Monk and set out towards the Red Obelisk and the East Coast. And I did pick up my mortar and pestle as well as a campfire before I left, so I won't have to craft another one. But it only took me around 30 seconds to find my first PT, but it was only a level 50.
Yeah, it's kind of mid. Just keep looking.
So I kept moving down the beach in hopes of finding a higher level to tame.
What's glowing? I don't want to find out. I do not want to find out.
Just a word from the wise from me to you guys, if you're ever playing with a mod where dinos produce their own light, make sure to approach them with extreme caution. Every time I see something like that, I have flashbacks back to Primal Fear 100 Days fighting Pecan's Revenge. Anyway, I didn't get much farther down the beach before I spent like 2 minutes trying to bolo this random PT out of the air so I could check its level. But when it finally did come down to the ground, it was only a level 10. So I decided I'm just gonna cut my losses and tame that level 50 PT. I really don't want to spend any more time looking for a better level to tame, because time is extremely precious when I have a bunch of different tiers of dinos I need to tame in this video. So anyway, I began making my way back around the Red Obelisk. But I passed a few Meganoras along the way, and I do happen to need more chitin for a PT saddle. But while I was taking out those buggy boys, Monk was having a scuffle of his own, which he didn't end up winning because he was on passive and had the stats of a newborn baby. Yeah, Monk got absolutely shredded by a level 5 Dilo. But I guess it was an alpha Dilo, so it's way stronger than normal, but still pretty sad that he actually died to that. Anyway, I put the Dilo down with ease because I have weapons to defend myself, unlike Monk. And I then harvested it for a measly 3 hide and 2 alpha blood.
Oh, Monk. We're definitely taming that level 50 now.
Yeah, I don't really have any option anymore. I'm gonna tame that bird. So I made my way back down to the PT's location while killing some more bugs along the way. And I knocked it out with a bola and only a few trank arrows. But right after the bird knocked out, I had to fight an army of compies. And one of them was an alpha compy, which was surprisingly strong. Like, so strong, I literally couldn't kill it. I had to swim across the river to finish farming the resources for the bird's saddle. I don't think I can understate how mad it made me that I wasn't able to take out this compy. So I really need to take flight as fast as possible, or I'm not gonna survive down here for much longer. But moving on, I took down more dinos like Parasaur and Titan drones. And I also got some Explorer notes to boost my levels so I can actually craft a PT saddle. And I even looted a blue drop which gave me some chitin armor as well as a toilet and an Ankylo saddle. Anyway, I kept killing dinos, but when I killed a Parasaur, a freaking Christmas present flew out from its dead body.
Christmas present? A beaver dam? Okay, that's kind of weird, but I'll take it.
And I then killed some dodos, and a treasure chest flew out of its dead body. And I found that the loot was going into my cosmetics tab in my inventory. And I got a pair of dodo slippers, which look absolutely hilarious. But I also did get a pet fish that literally just takes the place of your head, and it also looks stupid. But more importantly, my PT was finally finished taming, and I named him Flappy. But I still needed to get some fiber to craft Flappy's saddle, hence why I'm picking bushes right now. However, I could barely fly on Flappy, because it didn't have the best stats, as taming a level 50 isn't that good, obviously. So I got my bird buddy some levels by getting Explorer notes and pumping weight until I had around 250 weight and just under 300 stamina. Day 4 and I was flying north, but I wasn't flying aimlessly. I was flying towards my new permanent base location. I want to build on that one plateau that overlooks the redwoods. Really specific, I know. But if you have some experience in Ark, you probably know where this is. I didn't have much reason for wanting to live here besides the fact that I've never built here before and because
It shouldn't get that hot or too cold.
yeah, so it's not the best motivation for building here, but I don't really care. I'm gonna build the best base you've ever seen here. Anyway, I thought the area was safe, but pretty much as soon as I arrived, I saw a glowing raptor just below the plateau. I'm pretty sure it's a volcanic raptor, which means don't go near it. But I think I should be fine as long as I stay up here. Anyway, time to get to work. And that first started with me taking out a Parasaur that was unlucky enough to spawn here. This is my land now. Anyway, I then unlocked the Chaos Forge engram. I want to craft one of these as they are very good at smelting metal. And you also need them to craft the other types of metals in this mod. And even better, they cost the same as a normal refining forge, so there was no downsides to making this forge. Seriously, if you're playing this mod, make one of these bad boys. But with this goal in mind, I plopped down 2 thatch foundations and my mortar and pestle to store some of my items. I needed some more hide to craft a forge, so I killed a few local weaklings and farmed the rest of the resources, and just like that, boom, I have a chaos forge. The forge is also red, so it looks even cooler. Anyway, I discovered the different types of metals you can get by combining smelted ingots and different types of blood. But I can't do any of that mixing blood with metal until I actually have some metal, so I need to actually get that. But I first farmed some wood to fuel my campfire that'll cook me more food while I get some metal. And I then made my way out of the base towards the volcano, and I farmed 30 raw metal, which actually took forever because these stone tools actually suck. So I'm gonna get rid of them as soon as I can. But anyways, I made my way back to my base and spotted an absolutely terrifying sight.
What? Something tells me about how that Rex looks how big it is and how fast it killed that Diplo that I don't want to mess with it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a volcanic Rex. That's 10 times stronger than a normal Rex. So that's basically a Giga right below my base. And I'm also not sure if these dinos have any special abilities yet since this mod is pretty new, but I don't really want to find out. So anyway, I got the metal into the forge and got it smelting. And it definitely does smelt faster than a normal forge. But I don't want normal metal tools. Those are for brokies. I want to craft beta metal tools. But I'm going to need some beta blood and hide to do that. And that led me to put an ungodly amount of spears into this beta turtle until it died.
Finally.
The turtle took a while to kill, but I got all the beta hide and blood I needed from it. But I first needed to craft a chaos smithy to actually craft the beta tools. But it doesn't require anything special to craft, so I made it pretty easily. And look at these shiny new green tools I have. But that's not the only cool thing about them. They farm more resources than normal tools. And I approve of the new tools because they were miles better than my stone tools.
Oh yeah, this is good. This is very good.
And the pickaxe works great with the metal nose as well.
There we go. That's some metal farming now.
Anyway, I finished up the day by putting more metal I farmed into the forge. Progress is being achieved, my viewers. Speaking of progress, I need a spyglass to find dinos to tame to keep progressing. I know that's a stretch, but I really need to find a spyglass, okay? So I flew out to the volcano to get the crystal for it. And I got just over 50 crystal for the spyglass and whatever I need for the future. But that's not the only thing I saw in the volcano. My nervous system got a shock of adrenaline when I went to get back on my PT and fly home when I spotted a Giga inside the wall. It couldn't move and I don't think it could actually see me, but if that thing got free while I had my back turned farming crystal, it would have been game over. But luckily that didn't happen. So I returned back to my camp safe and sound. And I then crafted my modded spyglass. This bad boy will show me dino stats, their torpidity, and possibly even their social security numbers. Anyway, after that, I decided to craft a normal smithy so I can craft some more vanilla items. And this was also made very easy with my new beta tools. However, I think it's time I start looking for a better PT now as I can easily identify levels. Flappy's good and all, but let's be honest, he's not good at all. But while I was out and about, I first stole a beta dino egg, which I can use to make kibbles later on. But more importantly, I did confirm that the glowing Rex below my base is indeed a volcanic Rex.
What is this? A volcanic Rex. Level 60 has 46,000 health. Okay, not going near that.
Quickly after that, I looted a green drop, and I got some trank arrows out of it and some raw prime fish meat. And I actually took that meat back to my base and cooked it right away in case I need it for an imprint or something in the future. And I also used some beta blood I had to turn into beta ingots. And I used those ingots to craft me a beta sickle, which is making farming fiber much easier. But it was actually kind of terrible to be honest. So it probably would have been in my best interest to just craft a normal sickle, but what's done is done. Anyway, I've decided before I go actually looking for a better PT to tame, I want to secure my base area a little more. I don't want to spend a ton of time taming and then get ran through by a rogue raptor. So that led me to go on a little murdering and then farming spree, and I crafted up a bunch of spike walls and a wooden gate to section off part of the plateau. I plan to expand my compound later with walls and spikes, but I don't have the resources or the dino power to do that right now. But now that that's done, let's go do some taming. I started flying westward along the northern river where a ton of PTs spawn, and there were a ton of PTs but no good levels. That was until I got to the very end and I spotted a level 130, which is perfect for me. It took a little while for it to land, but once it did, it landed on a cliff where no other dinos could get to it.
Perfect. This is actually perfect.
And it knocked out super easy with my crossbow. I don't think I mentioned I crafted one, but I did. After I got the bird knocked out, I left to get it some prime meat. And there was a low level Diplo nearby, which was once again perfect for me. It didn't survive too long after I spotted it. And I fed the unconscious PT before the end of the day, but it still wouldn't tame for a little while. Day 6 started oddly.
Why is there so many Brontos in the river?
I decided to keep flying up and down the island's rivers looking for another high level PT to breed with the current one I'm taming. But I didn't really have any luck finding any high level normal PTs, but I did find a high level beta PT.
Beta level 145. Oh, I hope that stays alive, but it's probably gonna die to that Rex.
So yeah, I didn't find anything I could tame for now, but I definitely have to see if that PT's still around when I get my hands on some beta kibble. So anyway, I flew back towards the redwoods to where my PT was now tamed and flew back to my base. And I also looted a purple drop on the way back, but it was garbage. And once I finally did make it back to my base, I bred the 2 birds. Now obviously the baby won't be good if I hatch it, so I wanted the egg for other purposes. But for now, I need to level up my new PT. And that started with me getting an explorer note right below my base. And I then set out for the volcano because I knew there was one on the inside of it I could get pretty easily. But there was a roadblock, or a sky block I should say.
What is that? No, other way.
Yeah, I was breathing pretty hard into the mic right there. I almost had a panic attack. Luckily, whatever that thing was, it didn't see me. But by seeing how fast it was flying, it definitely would have caught up to me if I made a mistake of getting its attention. I didn't see it for long, but for the small glimpse I got of it, it looked to be a dragon of the volcanic variant. I'm not sure if there are any other variants of the dragon, but I'm pretty sure they are all deadly if I happen to run into one. So anyway, I got the Explorer now on the inside of the volcano, and another one on the far side, which I got my PT up to level 275 weight and 650 stamina. But I'm not satisfied with this because I can't get that level 145 beta PT out of my head. And as you all know, I do need beta kibble to tame it, but it honestly isn't that expensive. But I do need to grow some crops, so yeah, let's farm some crops. Finally, at the end of the day, I had 8 crop plots, which I placed right below my base on the banks of the river, and I flew back up to the top of the plateau to craft the intake and water tap. Day 7, I placed both the intake and tap down, making my crop plots now irrigated, but I'm still missing the seeds and fertilizer to actually make the crops grow, and I decided to tackle the fertilizer issue first. I had a toilet which I got from a blue drop back on day 3, and as I said in my Island 100 Days video, the pooping glitch for infinite fertilizer was actually patched, and I'm currently unable to tame any dung beetles since I don't have a creature or a weapon to protect me inside of caves while I'm actually taming the poop bugs. So I resorted to my old method of just pooping, jumping up and down, eating, and then pooping again. It was slow and inefficient, but it's all I got right now. But it actually only took around 5 minutes for me to get 2 fertilizer in each of the crop plots, which will be enough for a little while. So now I need to get the seeds I need, and crop seeds aren't super common, so there's no way I'm going to be trying to get them by hand. I first looked at passive taming a nearby Diplo, but after seeing it required 850 hide to craft a saddle, I decided to move on to something simpler.
I will not be taming a Diplo. That is 850 hide. That's insane.
There was a level 75 Iguanodon that was nearby.
Perfect.
And the Iguanodon went down really easily. And this Spyglass made it even easier with me being able to see its torpor.
Oh my god, how many copies is that?
But while I was fighting off those compies, I also killed a Meganora, and it dropped a treasure chest with a Meganora pet inside. And I equipped it over the fish, and it put a whole Meganora on my back, and it would flap its wings whenever I moved. But I liked having the fish on my head better, so I swapped it back out. Anyway, I then farmed berries I needed to tame the Iguanodon, and then flew back up to my base and farmed some wood to craft its saddle. And once the Iguanodon finally tamed, I saddled it up and spent a few minutes getting the 2 sets of 4 seeds I needed for each crop plot. And after that, I seeded the crop plots, and I also farmed some Narco and Mayho berries because you need those to craft beta kibble. And I then bred my PTs once again to get another egg, because you actually need 2 normal dino eggs to craft a beta kibble. But luckily, fertilized eggs actually work to craft the kibble, or else I'd have to be waiting a while longer for my female PT to just lay an egg.
I'm gonna take a leak while my crop grow. Wait, enemy. I'm gonna take a leak while my crops grow.
Just thought I should let you guys know that I was taking a leak while my crops were growing. That's it. Day 8, I started with crafting 4 alpha narcotics. 2 alpha narcotics combined with an arrow can make an alpha trank arrow. And that alpha trank arrow is 22 times stronger than a normal trank arrow. So I should be able to knock out that beta PT pretty easily. But I also crafted a few beta arrows which are only 11 times stronger than a normal trank arrow, but they're still very strong. But later on, I got my first rock carrots and I finally crafted my first beta kibble.
Alright, let's go see if that 145's there.
So yeah, I'm gonna go off and tame that level 145 beta PT now, if it's still alive. It was dangerously close to that volcanic Rex. But yeah, I flew halfway across the map hoping and praying that it was still there. But to my surprise, it was actually still alive. But it was still in a dangerous area, so I'm gonna have to tame it very quickly. Anyway, after hitting an actual snipe with a bola to get the PT to the ground,
Oh, sniped. Out of the air.
I knocked the bird out and instantly tamed it with some beta kibble. And I saddled it up and took it for a little test flight before naming it. I named it Green Lantern. Come on, is that not the most fitting name for this thing? Anyway, I flew back to my base with my normal PT following close behind me. But once again, that's not enough for me. I want to get another high level beta PT and breed the 2. I think once I have a good imprinted beta PT, I'll be content. So that led me to breed my normal PTs once again and craft another beta kibble. And just like that, I was off once again looking for another beta PT. But while I was flying through the redwoods, I spotted my first electric dino, an electric dire bear. I'm not gonna stick around and find out if it has any special abilities, because usually dinos with electricity can shock you off your tames. So I kept flying, making my way through the redwoods, eventually ending up at the other side of it. And it's there when I spotted the dragon I saw back on day 6.
Yeah, that's a little terrifying knowing that's just flying around. That was at the volcano earlier.
I was starting to give up hope on day 9 of finding a good beta PT to tame, but I should have known to look near the green obelisk earlier, because I found a level 135 out there, and taming it went even easier than last time. It was already on the ground so I could easily bowl it and knock it out, and once I was actually asleep, I nearly got prime meat to tame before realizing you actually don't need prime meat to tame these guys, you need the beta kibble, which I had.
Wait, I have beta kibble.
But once the bird was actually tamed, I tried breeding the two out there right in the open. But it didn't work because a few dilos decided to ruin my day and their lovemaking session. I had to go full Doomslayer on the dilos, but in the end, I decided to finish this back in my base. But after that, I finally made my way back to my base and I acquired a fertilized beta PT egg. And I quickly started incubating the egg, using the campfires to heat it up. And the bird hatched soon after, and it had good stats, so it was going to become my main transportation bird. And these things also start with an insane amount of stamina, but their weight is still pretty low. But that's the only thing I really have to upgrade on them. Anyway, I named him Green Goblin because I think it's a very suited name, just like Green Lantern. And while I was waiting to imprint the baby, I looted a nearby beaver dam and killed an alpha trike for its alpha hide and blood. And I used that blood and hide to craft alpha ingots and then turned them into alpha tools like a hatchet. These tools should be able to farm even more than the beta ones. But for some reason, all the tools have the same durability as normal primitive ones. And I think that's kind of dumb because they need to be repaired a lot. Anyway, after that, I realized I couldn't use fertilized beta eggs to make alpha kibble.
Ooh, fertilized beta eggs don't count.
So at some point, I'm probably gonna have to go around the map and tame a bunch of small beta creatures to mass produce me eggs. I should probably tame an oviraptor since they're now overpowered. They pick up eggs from your dinos even when they're over encumbered. But moving on, I got the one imprint I needed on Green Goblin, so he now has some pretty good looking stats. And after that, I waited for the bird to be fully grown before taking it out and doing some leveling by getting some explore nodes. And once I got some levels into it, I decided to get some more metal because I was pretty much out of it back in my base. But as I was bringing the metal back to my base, I spotted a volcanic raptor right below my base again.
What is under my base? Yep, not gonna go down there anymore.
Day 10, I made an alpha pickaxe. But I wasn't just making these alpha tools for fun. I needed them for a lot of manual labor that was ahead. Anyway, I now want to build sort of a better base because I'm kind of tired of living on those two foundations. To say it lightly, I want to build a castle, but more of a mini castle, maybe an 8x8 at most. I just want a place to have my structures and storage, and I can always expand on it in the future. But let's get to the construction of this castle. But before I even actually get to that, I need the resources to craft the structures for it. So I just like to say I'm sorry to my editors for what I'm about to do to you. The rest of the day went pretty similar. There was a whole lot of farming, whether that be rocks or trees. And then once I did actually get the few structures I could craft, I had trouble placing them. You see, I wanted 4 hexagonal pillars in each corner to make it more look like a castle, but there wasn't a good way to connect the walls on all 4 sides. So on 2 sides, I had to use normal square ceilings, and on the other 2, I had to use triangle ceilings. So it's not exactly even, but it's the best I can do. I'm not a world-renowned Ark builder, guys. But let me know if you guys actually struggle with building in the comments below too. And if I don't see at least 100 comments saying that building isn't your strong suit either, I know you're lying to me. I've seen some of the builds you guys put together, and let's just say, yikes. Anyway, I shouldn't be flaming you guys for your building skills because I didn't even finish the platform by the end of the day. Shoot, I didn't even finish the outline of the platform. At this rate, it's gonna take a while. Day 11 started with me repairing my alpha hatchet. Once again, I think it's really stupid how these tools have the same durability as primitive tools. I'm gonna be repairing this thing quite a lot. Anyway, after that, I got back to work. First farming thatch with my pickaxe to craft more structures, then getting water because, yeah, you need water to live. Anyway, I kept farming until I eventually had the outline of the platform done by midday. And I did actually crash in the middle of farming ceilings, which set me back a little bit, but it honestly wasn't too bad.
No.
But once the outline was done, my attention moved to a stego who somehow managed to hop over my spike walls and get into my base area. So now, it's nice to know that my defenses are pretty much going to do nothing if I'm under attack. Anyway, getting back to my mini castle build, just farming that small outline of the platform actually sucked. I thought I was going to be able to farm all this by hand in a few days, but that's not going to be the case at this rate. So I want to tame an RG and eventually tame a Dodic, since farming stone is the most time consuming and labor intensive part of this whole process. And obviously, I want to tame a modded RG, preferably an alpha RG. So I'm going to have to farm some alpha kibble and a bunch of tranks since I have way higher torpor than a normal RG. So I got to work farming narco berries on my iguanodon, then crafting a bunch of potent narcotics since I can't afford too many alpha narcotics right now. But by the time the narcotics finished crafting, I was able to craft an alpha kibble since my female beta PT had laid 2 unfertilized eggs. And after turning the potent narcotics into trank arrows, I set off. I only had just over 10 arrows, but I'm pretty sure it'll be enough to take down an alpha oversized pigeon when I come across one. And I first searched the Redwood Mountain, but I didn't find any, so moved on to the base of the volcano. And that's where I found a level 95 alpha RG, which would be perfect for me. But I actually need 2 alpha kibble to tame it, and I only have 1. But by the time I got back to my base, the same beta female PT had laid 2 more eggs, so I was able to craft another alpha kibble. And I then hopped back on Green Goblin and began flying out towards the alpha RG before the end of the day. Day 12, I shot my first trank arrow into the bird, but it didn't do near as much torpor as I thought it would.
Definitely need some stronger tranks.
So I needed to return back to my base to actually acquire those trank arrows, but I need some more spoiled meat first to make the narcotics. And I then remembered the hundreds of comments I got gotten on my Island 100 Days videos from a short time ago. Yeah, that's right, I read your comments, guys. Even if I don't respond because there's just simply too many of them, just know that I probably read it. So don't be putting weird stuff in my comments. Anyway, I was informed through my comments section that if I had a bunch of meat in my inventory and then took a dump into the toilet, all the meat would spoil.
I heard if I take a poop on a toilet, all this meat should spoil. Oh!
But first, I have to deal with those Trudons. I made light work of them, but they caused more damage than I could have imagined. You see, when I was originally getting jumped, they broke the toilet that I used to get the fertilizer.
Yeah, I did. Oh my god.
So it looks like I'm just gonna have to wait for all this meat to spoil because I'm not able to craft another toilet right now. And while I was waiting for the meat to spoil, I took the time to farm the narco berries that I also needed to craft the modded narcotics. Anyway, I made 22 alpha narcotics, which means 11 alpha trank arrows, as you need 2 for each arrow. And if 11 of these bad boys aren't enough to knock this bird out, I'm gonna delete my channel. But yeah, I flew back out to the RG's location and put a few arrows into it, then checked how much torpor it had.
Bro, I need a trap for this thing.
Yeah, I didn't have enough of these trank arrows once again. But this time I decided I'm gonna make a trap to knock this thing out so I can reduce the amount of trank arrows I actually need in case I miss any shots. So moving on, I returned back to my base and stared endlessly into a smithy for a few minutes. I was probably just taking a leak or something, I don't know. Anyway, when I was back at my desk, I farmed up a simple stone RG trap I always use. I now have 1 stone foundation, 8 walls, and 1 ceiling, and also a beaver dam which I looted for some cementing paste and some silica pearls, but I still need more trank arrows. And I'm currently out of the blood I need to craft the narcotics, so I gotta do some killing real quick. But it didn't take me too long to get the alpha blood, I needed to craft more alpha trank arrows. But I did also spot a vanilla alpha carno that I'll definitely be back for later to power level my new RG. But now it's time to actually tame that RG. So I once again flew back to the volcano and assembled a trap on a high peak. And after a little bit of trouble getting the RG into the trap,
Oh, you gotta be joking.
I finally got the bird trapped where I could tame it. I knocked out the level 95 in the morning of day 13, but it didn't stay asleep for long because I instantly tamed it with the 2 alpha kibble I had. And I named it Angry Bird because those red glowing eyes are honestly terrifying. And quite honestly, all of its stats were terrifying as well, except its weight.
Man, they boost every stat except weight.
Having good weight is really the only thing I wanted this thing for. So I could have just tamed a normal RG and it would have worked just as well. But hey, at least I'll never run out of stamina. Anyway, enough of me complaining, I need to get this bird back to my base. But once I actually got it back to my base, I was missing just over 100 chitin needed to make its saddle. So I set back out to the mountains to try and kill some scorpions for the chitin. But I only managed to kill 1 right under an electric RG before I decided to venture into a nearby cave that I knew had a ton of spiders in it. Spiders are a very good source of chitin, but I can't take on too many of them at a time because I have some pretty weak weapons. And I also can't catch the attention of any large bats or I'm definitely dead. So I went in, but at first I was getting swarmed.
Oh! Get off me.
However, I eventually managed to use a corner in the cave to separate the spiders and take them down one by one. And I didn't have to kill too many of them before I was able to craft the RG saddle inside the cave. But the spiders were able to destroy my leggings while I was fighting them. Moving on, I left the cave and began flying back to my base. But I was distracted by a yellow drop coming down with a ring in the river. And since I'm a loot goblin, I have to get it. And good thing I did because I actually got some journeyman flat gauntlets.
Good flat gauntlets.
Anyway, once I finally made it back, I saddled on my RG and crafted a few pieces of flak armor to complete my set. So basically, I'm unkillable. Anyway, remember that alpha Carno I spotted a little while ago? Yeah, time to go pay him a visit on the back of Angry Bird. And the Carno was actually level 115, so it had a lot of health, but it would be no match for Angry Bird. I just had to actually commit the time to spamming left click to whittle down its health. I was still chipping down its health going into the morning of day 14. And to my surprise, Angry Bird was actually losing a decent amount of health to this Carno. It was mainly his bleed attack that would do percentage amount of damage, but it should be fine. Anyway, I got the Carno down to around 4k HP out of its 42,000 max health. And I flew off to find an explorer note that'll quadruple the amount of experience I get from killing it. And honestly, I'm kinda sad to admit this, but it actually took me a little while to find an explorer note to get. I've put thousands of hours into the Ark franchise, so you think I'd be able to know where all the explorer notes are. But I only know where like 10 at most are, and after that, it's just a search party for one. Anyway, I finally got a note on the side of the Redwoods Mountain after I had to use an online wiki to locate it. And the Carno didn't last much longer after I got the note.
51. Jeez. That's gonna be a lot of weight. That's exactly what I want. They're all going in the weight.
Now, 51 levels into weight sounds like a lot, but after all, Angry Bird only had about 2,300 weight. That is a decent amount, I know, but I still want more. But I guess it'll suffice for now as I return to my base and repaired my crossbow from the recent tame. So now it's time to tame a Dodic to farm some stone, because remember, I'm actually taming all these creatures to build my base. But I first decided to farm up some spike walls to protect the Dodic once I find one and knock it out. And I remember these guys are pretty hard to find and tame, purely because of the amount of dense foliage now in the game. But once I had 5 spike walls, I set out to tame the Dodic. I had 10 beta trank arrows and a bunch of normal arrows from supply drops. I'd prefer to tame a normal Dodic since they require the least amount of arrows and you don't really need a good level since all they do is farm stone.
Like Griffin? Whoa. I didn't know those spawn. We're definitely gonna have to tame some of those.
So yeah, I was able to find some cool modded creatures, but no Dodix.
I hate looking for Dodix. They're so small, you can never find them.
Anyway, I spent the rest of the day searching for my future rock farmer, but I didn't spot a single one, and I'll take any level at this point. And the search continued into morning of day 15.
Oh my god, that thing's fast. That thing is so fast. That thing is so fast.
But don't worry, I managed to get away okay, but those things are seriously fast. But that, folks, is why you don't scroll on Instagram in the wilderness without pausing your game. Anyway, I kept searching, and not too long after, I finally found a Dodic.
There's one right there. I don't even know why I'm checking the level. I don't care. I want to be taming.
The Dodic was knocked unconscious shortly after me spotting it, and I quickly assembled an impenetrable fortress of spike walls around it. But if a Rex or Aloe found it, it's definitely dead.
How many mayo berries do you need to tame? 13. I'm just gonna go farm one with my Guadodon.
Once I returned back to my base, I farmed the Mayho berries I needed, and switched back to my RG so I can carry the Dodic back to my base once it's tamed. And I actually looked to see what I needed to craft some cryopods before I left, but I'm not able to craft any right now. And if it wasn't obvious by now, I actually did install a cryopod mod, which you can find below with all the other mods I'm playing with. Anyway, I made it back out to the Dodic a few minutes later and quickly tamed it. And of course, I had to give it the creative name of Rock Dude. I don't know. I snatched up the Dodic and flew back home. But all I needed to craft this saddle was a few pieces of stone, which I easily got, and boom, Dodic saddle.
Alright, now that we have a Dodic with the saddle, this castle should be able to be built way faster. I hope.
And that was looking to be true, as I spent the rest of the day farming stone with my Dodic, and it was way better than with my hatchet. I also set up 2 storage boxes on the outside of the build to store resources that I needed to craft with later on. I'd farmed a decent amount of stone by the morning of day 16, but I did have to go back to farming wood with my hatchet, but my hatchet was once again having to be repaired. Why do they have such low durability?
Crap, am I out of metal?
So it looks like I have to go farm some metal to keep farming for this mini castle. So I took off on my RG to utilize on our first metal run together. But there was also a yellow drop with a ring on the side of the volcano that was looking very enticing to me.
Oh, wait. No! Wait, is it here? Okay, I think it's still here. It's just invisible. It's a Mastercraft crossbow. Yes. Oh, even better gauntlets. That crossbow is going to be clutch for taming.
Yeah, as I said, that crossbow is going to be really good when it comes to taming. It's going to deal extra torpor, and it has a ton of durability, unlike these freaking alpha tools. Anyway, I moved back down the mountain and got to farming some metal nodes with my pickaxe.
Right here, taming Ankylo. This is poverty metal, man.
Yeah, and Ankylo is definitely the next tame on the list. Anyway, I farmed for a little while longer.
Alright, got a decent amount of metal. Let's head back to base.
And I got the metal smelting in the Chaos Forge as soon as I returned back to my base. But I had to set right back out as I needed more alpha blood to turn the normal metal ingots into alpha ingots. And once I did that, I finally repaired my hatchet. But its full durability won't stay for long, however, because I still needed to farm wood and thatch. But this is when I remembered that the giant trees in the redwoods give a ton of wood and thatch, so I made the quick flight over and started farming those. But while I was farming one of the trees, I noticed that a Dodic was hiding out in a bush.
Really? Y'all were just hiding in this bush when I was looking to tame you?
Anyway, I managed to get a ton of wood and thatch from the trees, and I returned to my base and placed a bunch of shieldings to try and finish the platform. But I did have to farm a little bit more before the end of the day, but I did finally finish the platform.
Alright, that's finally the platform done, but I kind of miscalculated. I think you can see on the top and bottom side. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna take out a row each of triangle ceilings.
Day 17, I implemented the change that I was talking about. I took some of the triangle ceilings off each side to make it look more castle-like. It gave the pillars a more defined shape, and I sound like a person in an HD TV show.
Yeah. Alright, that looks way better.
But now the rest of the day was spent farming and building, doing normal Ark-based building stuff. And I was pretty much just smacking trees and putting up walls. And honestly, I don't know how to make that entertaining. So if you do, please let me know in the comments. But in the meantime, look at whatever my editor is putting on screen right now. I hope it's nothing bad.
Alright, honestly, this is starting to look really good. And I'm not playing with any building mods because I really want to experiment more with just the base game building, as it was updated a lot in Ark Survival Ascended. But I think it's honestly coming together. I still got a lot of farming to do though.
Anyway, back to grinding.
Yellow drop with the ring right outside my base? Don't mind if I do. Oh. You know, I'll actually take this. That was actually a really good drop. Alright, now we got the outer walls done, but still a while away from completion. And it's still, yeah, it's still not exactly connected to the ground how I'd like it to be.
Anyway, I had more building to do. And that started with me adding these sloped triangle ceiling roofs on the pillars.
Oh yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Alright, it kind of looks like a Minecraft castle, but it'll look better, I hope.
It's definitely not gonna look better. Day 19 and
that a chicken? Dude, I've been working on this video for like 10 hours today. Am I seeing something? Or is that a chicken? That's a chicken.
All I'm saying is I need that chicken. So I dropped my Dodic back off on my base and went down and grabbed the chicken with my RG and putting it inside my base. And after struggling for a little while to figure out how to tame it, I found that you just have to press E so many times and it can be yours. And I decided to name the chicken Dinner. I honestly have no idea which mod adds this guy. I'm assuming it's Primal Chaos, but it's kind of a weird addition if you ask me. But I'm not complaining though, because I now have a chicken and its name is Dinner. What more could you want?
Dinner is now the mascot of this video. I don't care what you say. He will be on the thumbnail. I'll put an image of him in my Discord. This Dinner deserves the world.
Day 20 and the mini castle was finally nearing its final form. I added some railings on the top in between the 4 pillars, which I liked a lot.
Alright, that makes it look a little better, but it's still looking pretty rough, man. I think I'm gonna take off the top wooden roof triangle slope things. I just think they make the build look corny. I don't know. I thought they'd look good, but they don't.
So I spent some time doing that and it pretty much took up to the end of the day. But it was definitely going to be worth it.
Yeah, that looks way better. I should have done that from the start. But now I just need to add some walls at the bottom here and then a ramp to get in, and I think the castle's pretty much done. We can start actually moving in and doing stuff.
Alright, day 21 and it's time to fully connect the castle to the ground. It seriously looks really goofy standing on those skinny pillars. So I started placing 2 stone walls that I had left over, but obviously that's not going to be near enough. So I got back to farming stone with my Dodic and RG before flying back over to the redwoods to farm more wood and thatch. But I'd like to say my Dodic's weight stat is starting to get up there now, so I could farm a decent amount of stone while holding it with my RG and it would auto swing for me. Anyway, I did have to beat a tree with my hatchet and pickaxe though to get the other resources. I then crafted and began placing the walls to connect the castle to the ground, and I watched the Phiomia end itself on my spike walls midway through placing the walls.
That's free hide.
However, I still didn't have enough walls to finish the castle. I needed more wood and thatch. But I did loot a yellow drop before I started farming those resources, and I got some metal structures, but for some reason I also got 12 metal water intakes.
Who needs 12 metal water intakes?
Anyway, I farmed the rest of the wood I needed and finished placing the walls that I also needed to place. And now my base is finally almost finished. But I had another problem.
Hey, do you guys remember when I said maybe 10 days ago where I said it wouldn't get that hot here? Yeah, I was wrong.
Besides me dying to the sweltering heat, I crafted and placed the ramp so I could actually get into my base.
Alright, I think my castle's pretty much done for now. I still need to put windows in the window frames, but I can always do that later. But now I think I can actually move in and we can finally move on to something else.
And another housewarming gift spawned in.
Is that another... There's another chicken. I have to tame it.
I named the chicken Lunch, so I now had lunch and dinner, and now all I need is breakfast.
I honestly have no idea which mod adds these, or this might just be the turkey trial event, because that is active, as you can see right here.
Day 22 started with me moving into my newly finished base, but I was still running low on storage space, so I made another quick flight out back to the redwoods and farmed a bunch of wood, which I then turned into way too many storage boxes, 16 to be exact. Anyway, I placed them all against the wall next to my little crafting corner, and I did have some trouble trying to place them. The first box would be at a slight angle, and then all the rest would be messed up. It was really annoying, but I finally got them all down, so it's all nice and neat now. Anyway, I got the rest of my items sorted back into my base, and I picked up a few structures that were on my starting platform. And after that, I got some raw meat cooking and 2 campfires as I was starting to run low on food. And I tried to fix my constant water problem by placing a stone water tap inside my base, but it wasn't in range to have water come out of it. I guess I'll just have to get some canteens as soon as I can. Moving on, I want to tame an Oviraptor. Oviraptors were changed in Ark Survival Ascended to now pick up your tame dino's eggs when they're dropped when they're nearby. And since this mod heavily relies on having eggs to make kibbles that are used to tame different tiers of dinos, I'm gonna need more than 1 Oviraptor. But I'm just gonna start with taming 1 for now. And they're pretty easy to tame actually. You just knock one out and shove some eggs inside of them. That sounded weird. Anyway, I set out to look for one and I actually found some random beta eggs laying around on the beach and also 2 Diplo eggs that'll make taming an Oviraptor even faster. And I spent the whole rest of the day flying up and down the nearby beaches on my RG looking for an Oviraptor to tame, but I didn't see a single one. I can find them all the time when I'm not looking for one specifically, but as soon as I want one for myself, they all decide to take a vacation to who knows where. I mean, I guess that's just kind of the story of Ark. You can never find anything when you want to find it, but I digress. However, my luck changed on day 23.
Is that one? Oh, finally, man. You're coming home with me.
Yeah, I actually abducted an Oviraptor to tame it back inside the safety of my base, and it only took 1 potent trank arrow to the head to put it to sleep.
Alright, now, I'm pretty sure they just eat eggs, right? Not totally sure, but hopefully that works.
Anyway, my food finished cooking while I was waiting to see if the Oviraptor would actually tame. I never actually tamed one of these things before, but I can assure you they eat eggs now. But for some reason, if you don't believe me, just watch this.
Oh, it is working. Alright, so we should just need one more Diplo egg. Sweet. So once we get this Oviraptor, we can start taming other egg-laying dinos and just have infinite eggs. I think I'm gonna do that.
So yeah, I want to at least tame a few beta dodos to start producing eggs so I can make some more alpha kibble. And I'm not sure if I said it yet, but I plan to use alpha dinos to fight the bosses, since they're 5 times stronger than normal dinos, and they're the last tier dinos that are small enough to actually fit into the boss fight. Believe me, I'd love to bring in some volcanic rexes or some other insane dinos in, but they're simply too big and won't be teleported into the fight. So anyway, I flew down below my base to get the crops I needed for beta kibble, and I managed to scrape together 5 of the green kibbles. Now, I have everything I need to tame the modded dodos, but I want cryopods so I don't have to make a ton of trips carrying them back to my base. But before I start farming to craft those, my Oviraptor tamed, whom I named Egg. Anyway, I then started gathering some resources I needed to make the cryopods, since this mod allows you to craft them in your inventory. I had all the fiber, hide, oil, and metal I needed, but I'm gonna need to farm crystal and polymer. So I first flew out to the snow to try and find some penguins to kill for organic polymer, but I got distracted by a yellow drop that had a canteen inside of it. It was in the middle of an actual war zone, but I managed to run in, loot the drop, and fly out of there. But moving on, I finally found some penguins, but I got an insultingly low amount of polymer from them. And I also saw a dragonfly overhead while I was looting the blue drop, which did have a toilet inside, but I was more concerned about getting obliterated by the dragon, so I peaced out. But future me knows that there is an update that would come out not long after this clip that would completely remove dragons from the mod. This is mostly because they would cause too many crashes and glitches. So that's definitely lucky for me, as those are pretty much the bane of my existence right now. Anyway, instead of flying straight home, I flew to the top of the volcano and farmed some crystal that I needed to craft the cryopods and a fabricator so I can craft polymer. And I finished off the day by crafting spark powder because I also needed to craft a fabricator. And that led me to craft the fabricator in the morning of day 24. And it took me a little while for me to figure out where I wanted to place it, but I finally got it in a decent spot. And on a side note, I unlocked the 4 new tiers of kibble, being mythic, legendary, demonic, and shadow kibble. These tiers were just added in the recent update while I was playing, and I know I mentioned them in the intro, so I'm hoping to tame a few of these dinos in this 100 days. So anyway, I now need to go back over to the volcano to farm the obsidian, to craft the polymer, I need to craft a thing, and then to craft the other thing. Yeah, I just need obsidian, okay? Anyway, I placed